Hello, and welcome to the Decision Intelligence Podcast, where we have real, candid conversations with thought leaders, practitioners, and tech experts about AI, decision intelligence, and the future of work. I'm your host, Fred Laluyo, co-founder and CEO of Era Technology. So today, we're going to be talking about Alcon, the global leader in eye care, and how decision intelligence is transforming its transportation and logistics operation. And I'm very pleased to welcome a guest today, Kurt Metzler, Head of Global Transportation at Alcon. Welcome, Kurt. Happy New Year, first and foremost. I hope everything's well with you, and thank you for joining the podcast.
Yeah, likewise, Fred. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Excellent. So we've been working together for quite some time. And I think before we dive in, I want to highlight the fact that Alcon has been one of the early pioneer in decision intelligence, innovating across the business from order fulfillment to lead time optimization and master data improvement. Today, we'll focus on logistic and transportation with you, where you and your team are driving very meaningful impact. But Kurt, tell us a little bit more first about Alcon. This is a fantastic business that I've had a chance to learn a lot about in the last few years, but you're doing some very important work there. So tell us a bit about the company first.
No, thanks, Fred. Thanks for the segue. So, yeah, Alcon, for those of you who don't know, we're the global leader in eye care. We're headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. So, Alcon essentially does business in over 140 countries. We specialize in ophthalmic surgical products, contact lenses to eye care solutions. Like I said, we're a global company. We've been in business a long time. Alcon has that feel, as you mentioned, Fred. We've been partners for a few years. We're a large company, but we have that small family feel, and we've been able to do a lot of things very fast, make a lot of decisions very fast, and operate in a very dynamic way. And so we've really appreciated the partnership. And there's a lot of cool things going on with Era, and there's a lot of cool things in the works as well.
So I got a chance to, first time I visited you guys in Texas, I looked at, you have this incredible showroom with all the incredibly complex machine made to enable like eye surgery and all this, incredible innovation that's going on. And then have all the necessary, ingredients that you also deliver and parts that you deliver to your clients. So that's super exciting and beautiful, beautiful camp, by the way. So tell us a bit about your career and your role at Alcon and the path that led you to lead global transportation. You're more than 20 years in the company, right?
Yeah, you could probably see my hairline. I've been here for a few years, so no, that's a great question. As I mentioned, we've actually been in business 75 years. I personally have been here a little over 20 years. So I'm currently the head of global transportation at Alcon. I currently lead the end-to-end logistics strategy for Alcon. So what that means, essentially the movement of freight from raw material suppliers to all of our manufacturing plants globally, to the intercompany type transfers to those affiliates in the countries, and then finally to the end customer. And if you look at Alcon, we are a dynamic shipper. We're not just a B2B type shipper. We're going B2C as well, and we do a lot. It's a very it's a very dynamic network that I'm responsible for.
So tell us a little bit about the competition. So talk about this dynamic network. Talk about the complexity of this global logistics. Give us a sense of its complexity, its size, and the services expectation that Alcon needs to meet.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So today, it's roughly around 20 million shipments that I manage globally, that I'm responsible for globally. It's leveraging really all modes of transportation. It's air, ocean, small parcel, LTL, truckload. It's a lot of different modes, a lot of different customer expectations. And if you really look at our network, an, it's an interesting fact. Over 40% of our shipments are delivered within 24 hours of the customer placing that delivery. So it's definitely a challenging network that we have. And from a performance standpoint, we not only are setting and leading best in class KPIs for performance on service on time percentage, but from a cost perspective as well.
So you say 20 million deliveries per year and
Yep.
40% within 24 hours.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
That's on the global basis.
And that's really, yeah, it's challenging. Our executives don't, they don't like the 40% number. That's always an opportunity to challenge that. But yeah, it's definitely a large number.
All right, so that's amazing. Those are amazing numbers when you think about it. So when you think ahead and with what you've done already, I should say, how do you see decision intelligence helping you evolve that transportation network over the next few years? You've done a lot of work already. Where are you going with DI in that specific area?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. I think, I've been in supply chain, as I said, over 20 years. And one of the terms that, as supply chain leaders, whether it's logistics or whatever segment you're in supply chain, we always brag about being firefighters, about being exceptional firefighters. And so where we've been is we've been great firefighters. We've bragged about doing that. We do everything that we can to mitigate, or I won't say mitigate, but resolve the issues after they happen. Where we're headed is we want to be more proactive, and that's the technology that we're incorporating. That was one of the first discussions that we had with you guys is I want to get out of this reactive mindset. I want to get out in front, whether it's a cost standpoint. We want to predict our cost challenges or opportunities that we may have and optimize those before they actually happen. Or on the other side of it, from the service perspective, I want to be able to communicate to our customers uh, before they actually get a misdelivery. And I think the more we can be proactive, that's where we're headed. We've got to shift out of this mentality of being a firefighter to
Yeah.
being more of a planner and optimize.
And I think you mentioned something important, which is also inform your clients whenever there's going to be a delay, being proactive in there. Okay,
Yeah,
so
100%. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's very, very critical. And especially as, if I understand this well, that the patients are scheduling those surgeries ahead of time, right? So you cannot afford delay, otherwise it may actually push a surgery with the patient. So you're impacting people's life, right?
Exactly, exactly. And for a large percentage of our customers, those express deliveries, someone is on a table potentially waiting on that replacement lens to get there. And so the criticality of that delivery, we can't miss. And so are the metrics that we hold ourselves to are at a very, very high level. And so
Yeah.
it's definitely critical to deliver that.
Yeah, you're impacting people's life here, and it's always a stressful operation. So, I mean, the
Yep.
minimum, yeah, you want to avoid extra stress for sure. And I think we appreciate you doing that. So, I think I'm about to have to get in front of one of your machines anytime soon. So, make sure that the delivery is good, okay?
Yeah, will do. Will do.
So, you're looking at what you're deploying in logistics with DI. So, I think the first one is the parcel consolidation, trying to bring these things together and talk about it, what you're trying to achieve more specifically, and what are the key choices that are guiding the way.
Yeah, one of the key drivers, or I won't say key drivers, but one of the big drivers in our cost. I won't just say cost because I don't want to make this just all about cost, but
Hmm.
is a lot of our customers, they have multiple people in their organization placing orders throughout the day, and when we've evaluated the data, we saw opportunities to consolidate those orders. And consolidation is something that we've been doing for many years. And there's many different forms of consolidation that we do. When you look at our business, a lot of it, as I mentioned earlier, we're having to deliver next day. So the order comes in, it ships out the same day, it gets delivered the following day. So consolidation, it can be challenging. We've
Yeah.
relied on our TMS, we've done consolidation in WMSs or even ERPs, but a lot of times when you do that, when you're having to ship out same day, you're manually holding those orders. Your TMS is holding those orders for a certain period of time. You we can't just drop those at the end of the day and expect our warehouse to get them out in time. So we're putting parameters in place where our technology is releasing those orders, whether it's hourly or whatever the time frame may be, so that we don't impact our operations. One of the things that we're working on with you guys that we're launching is really to be smarter about it. Instead of holding all of our orders, we're utilizing Era to look at our customer order patterns and say, Kurt, these 5 customers, we're seeing that they're ordering 15 times a day. Why don't you just hold these orders, release the rest of them, and we'll optimize those, send those down at the end of the day. So we do 2 things. We consolidate to a much higher percentage. And the other point, we don't impact our operations. And so, if you think about a TMS, it gets an order, it places an order, but what we're using or in optimizing a shipment, what we're using areas to get out in front of it. It's looking at order patterns, and our customers are the same customers, and they're doing a lot of the same things. And so we're utilizing Era to provide those recommendations to help us optimize at a higher rate.
So you're basically reading through all these orders, understanding the patterns, and deciding when it makes sense to actually consolidate, right? And that's fundamentally what will allow you to be more efficient ultimately without impacting the service level with your clients and saving cost.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. And that is a process that was running in real time. How do you that's the key, right? So how often is this running? And of course, you have to run that through the entire set of orders. Could you give us a sense of how frequently you're running this math, you're running this process?
It depends on the scope of business that we're looking at. Right now, we're being very specific. We're looking at specific function that we're
Mhm.
piloting, and that we're targeting that, that we'll be doing that evaluation on a daily basis. As we roll it out to the other functions, or I'll say other franchises, because with Alcon, we have our surgical franchise that's very time specific for surgeries, a lot of expedited deliveries. If you look at the vision care side of it, and even on the intercompany transfers, you have more time to make decisions there. And so we'll be able to throttle that up or throttle that back. And what I mean by that is we can take more time on a shipment that we have 3 to 5 days to deliver that. We could do more consolidation. So it's it's not rigid. And the thing that we like with Arid, it gives us the ability to adjust those parameters based on that specific business requirement.
Yeah, that's amazing. And maybe talk a little bit about the network. I mean, you're shipping from where? I mean, what's the complexity there?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a great question. It is complex, as you say. So our network is in some regions. On the intercompany side, we have manufacturing plants all around the world. They're shipping
Yeah.
to what we call affiliates, and so those are either regional DCs or inter country DCs shipping to the end customer. There are also what we call intercompany distribution centers that are regionalized, that are shipping out, specifically in Europe, that one centralized location is shipping out to all the different companies or countries within Europe. So it's a very complex market. And then some like, Japan, it's the warehouses in Japan shipping to the end customers within that country.
So a lot of complexity, different models, different adapted to the different regional needs that you have, and you build that over time. But it's a pretty rich model that you have here. So let's fast forward a little bit. Once partial consolidation, the skill we just talked about, is live, how will it change the way your team works, and what outcome are you expecting?
Yeah, obviously there's a pretty significant financial, optimization there. It's a sizable savings that we'll achieve there. From an operational standpoint, today we're manually, we're using some systems to do the consolidation. A lot of these flows are going into what we call a mailbox. There's a lot of manual type intervention with that. In the future, we're going to be automating a lot of that, whether it's consolidation, those orders flowing down to the warehouses and things like that. So it's really going to create a lot of efficiencies where those individuals, instead of, grabbing 10 boxes and putting them in one big box, it's all going to flow down as one order. So it's going to not only make, our team's life a lot easier, but when you look at our
Yep.
operations as well, it's going to create a lot of efficiencies there.
Amazing. And um, I mean, any project of that nature, you're not just improving a system here. You're changing the way work gets done. You're changing the way decisions are being made. And you
Yep.
just talked about it. It's going to impact the work of the people who are literally managing those shipments on a daily basis. So
Yep.
when you talk about change, you talk about change management, you talk about resistance, and it's fair, it's normal. So so what is your strategy? What is your approach maybe to drive these adoptions both inside with your own team, but also with your partners?
That is probably the $50 million question, right? I think that's
Always.
what everybody asks is the change management, right? How do you get people to buy in? And um, you know, over the last, in my career, I've seen a lot of technology that's been implemented, and one of the, I think things that we all deal with is, people's reluctance to change,
Yeah.
and they're very quick to say, "Hey, this thing doesn't work," because they're afraid to change. And one of the things that we found is a lot of people are complaining we're never logging into the system, and so for one, we wanted to. I wanted to see who was actually using the system. So for one, we're driving compliance there. We're seeing who's logged in, is using the technology that, and we're training them on how to use the technology appropriately. We're measuring that, putting it in their performance metrics, things like that. So we're driving that usage. But we're also getting a lot of feedback from those associates that are using it, and to make sure, and not all feedback is good, right? So you have to filter it a little bit, but really encouraging what we call our super users to really go out and be creative, as they use this technology, and to share that with others. If I look at my organization, a lot of things that we're doing aren't just logistics. They're, they touch other areas of supply chain. And so we're able to take what we've learned within the Aeroscope and share that with others. And we're seeing that that's been very successful because people were like, "Hey, I didn't realize you could do that with a system." And it's really interesting. And so that gains a little momentum, right? It just takes a little bit momentum to get things rolling, and then the ball
Yeah.
starts rolling really fast.
Yeah, makes sense. What about the external partners? I mean, obviously you're working with shippers in a lot of complex ecosystem. Are they feeling or will they feel the impact of what you're doing? I'm sure they will. But tell us a little bit about how you're managing that as well.
Yeah, when you talk about this with your external suppliers all the time, they're very skeptical of how it works. But I'll give you a couple of very um, unique instances of how we're using this technology to not only improve our life but theirs as well. So, a couple different things. From a planning aspect of it, I just came out of we're actually in the middle of one of our tenders with one of our global providers, and you know, obviously we want to challenge them on the rates, but one of the things that they struggle with is how do they get proactive communication or forecasting of what we're going to ship.
Yeah.
Obviously we want to consolidate, we want to optimize our networks, but they have the same challenges. And so what we're looking at and what we're pushing is we're sharing that information with them of saying, "Hey, Fred, next week we're anticipating you're going to have this amount of volume," and they're able to work with their providers, their steamship lines and the airlines on gaining that capacity. So not only one, you get a pricing advantage, but you also get a service improvement as well. And so that's one area. The other area that we've used, and this is one of
That's good.
the other things is from a visibility standpoint. We do a lot of shipments. We're a very, I'd call us a needy account. We rely on our partners. I've got a very small staff. We rely on our partners to support us in a lot of areas. Sorry, you have to edit that. My light just went out.
You need to move your head
Sorry.
a bit more.
Okay, and with that, what we were seeing is their teams, their operational teams, where have to go in and understand, if we've got shipments that are late, and to do something about that. So where we've actually utilized Era is we're now proactively communicating with the freight
Yeah.
forwarders, saying, "Hey, these 4 shipments are late. They have this valued product on there. We've got 2 weeks of inventory left. We need to do something about it." And so we're proactively sending that to them. And so in a certain instance, we're doing their job for them a little bit, but we're also helping them, and it's taking some of the, I'd say, the complexity off their organizations as well.
Yeah, but you're enabling them to be more efficient because if they get
100%.
better input data from you, then they can plan accordingly and become more efficient in return.
Yeah, and for me, I think in the next few years, it's going to be a huge advantage for us because I mean, if you look at how we're shipping, especially on in the international stuff, um, we'd never, in the industry, we've never done it as a shipper. We've never done a good job of sharing our forecasts or our plans
Yeah.
or what we're going to do. But the more advanced notification you're going to give these guys, they can optimize their networks. They can optimize their operations.
Yeah,
You know,
I talk a lot about moving from, supply chains to value chains. We talk a lot about value network, and of course that includes the entire, chain of providers and parties involved. And I think that's a good example of, well, you improve your performance, you're allowing them to improve their performance. It's better for cost, it's better for service levels overall. Customer satisfaction goes up. So yeah, it's a win-win, and you have to engage with them and have them participate. So that's amazing. Did you do like sessions with them to explain your new approach? Did you like, okay, this is how we are doing it internally from now on, and this is how it's going to benefit you? Just pragmatically, how did you connect with them on and communicate with them on that project?
Yeah, no, it's great. So I'm going to step back a little bit. 10 years ago, if I look at our network, we had a supplier base of around 1,500 carriers globally. And so obviously there's a lot of inefficiencies with that. And so our strategy has been to really leverage our capacity with strategic providers. So if I look at our business now, we're doing, 90% of our business with around 20 service providers globally. So we're looking for providers that have scale, that have capability, that have technology, that we can strategically partner with. And so, to your
Mhm.
question, the answer is yes. And so, not with all 200, but with our, if I look at the 10 or 20, we've had those strategic discussions with them. Whether it's a weekly or daily basis on, hey, here's some of the things that we're looking at. Give us some feedback on that. What do you like? What do you not like? And so it's created a lot of efficiencies for both us and them. Because I think you hit the nail on the head is we're all in the same boat, right? We want to do a
Yeah.
better job and we want to make more money.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're recording this on January 7th, beginning of the year, time for predictions. And you are a logistics and supply chain expert. So, what are your predictions on how you see DI reshaping logistics and supply chain as we go into the new year? Give me the Kurt's predictions.
Yeah, it's again, I'm a little bit old school. I think it's, if I go back to when I first joined the industry, it is, and we can be a little bit archaic in logistics space, but what I predict, it's going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get, I'd say, a little bit hesitant on what AI can do to support. But for me in the logistics space, the capabilities are significant. It's very challenging for some functions to show the ROI that we can show. If you look at optimizing freight, it's very easy to show going from 3 boxes to 1 box, you're reducing your costs by 30% or
Mhm.
40%, whatever that number is. So for me, I think the more people start utilizing this technology and see the benefits, I think it's really going to change the game. I do see, and I had a lot of conversations on the supplier side of it. I think they were a little bit hesitant in the beginning. I am seeing a lot of the large suppliers, the big guys and gals out there, really start onboarding this and to start seeing the benefits. But this isn't just the shipper side of it. So I do see that on that side of the table, and I'm predicting that they're going to start utilizing this technology, and the word partner is just going to continue to grow as you
Yeah.
can share that data across. It's going to optimize and create more efficiencies in the organization. And all of us are challenged all the time with doing you know more with less, and this is just going to augment that. And for me, I think it's going to enable us to really focus on what's important. it's doing a better job for our customers, delivering a better customer experience. And
Yeah.
that's at the end of the day, that's what we're all striving to do. And I think we're going to be a lot better at that from a logistics perspective because we're going to get out of that firefighting mentality and we're going to start getting out in front of it. When I can communicate to my customers an hour before he knows that it's delayed, that experience, it's a game changer, right? And so
Yeah,
that's
I think I'm going to repeat what I said before about the nature of your business. When you talk about customers and the 1 hour delay means somebody waiting for a surgery to happen for an hour. That's a high level of stress. This is not neutral. So yeah, this is not like you're not getting your consumer product on the shelf and you have to come back the next day. There's an emotional aspect to getting a surgery. And this is why it's very serious and the need to deliver on time and in full is so critical, or to inform ahead of time so that people are not patient waiting. That's amazing. And the other thing that maybe I want to get your thoughts, but we touched on that a little bit. Do you see, as this technology gets more and more deployed, that parties are going to start sharing more and more information? You talked about it, but we're going from a era of everybody keeps their data. It's mine. That's my knowledge. And then you deal with your problem. And I see it across industries where this technology kind of naturally, I won't say force, but incentivizes organization to share more data because now something can be done at the intersection of Alcon and its shipping partners, transportation partners. Do you see that information is going to be shared more and more as a result in the next few years?
Yeah, and I think you're spot on, and I think you're aware of one of our other partners out there, Prospect 44, that
Yeah.
I'd say looking at that, initially, same with you guys is, third parties, they would say, hey, this is our data. We're not going to share it with you guys. And, I'm a Texan and I can be a bit bullheaded. And so we took a very stern line of, at the end of the day, this is our data. And, it needs to be shared. And initially, the suppliers didn't see the benefit of it. They didn't want to do it,
Yeah.
whether they're freight forwarder or some of the other technology providers. They didn't want to share it because they didn't see a benefit from it. But now that they're seeing the benefits, they're coming to the table, and we all have the same. I won't just say I'm challenges, but opportunities, and I think the more that you can partner, and I think you have to choose the right partner, and you have to be very, you know, um, selective in that. You have to, pick the provider that sees your vision and sees where you want to go, and they're also sharing that with you because that's at the end of the day, you know, again, I'll go back to my length of time here. We have never been a transactional company.
Mhm.
We've always, whether it's our end customer or our suppliers, we don't look at it on a transactional approach. We look at it as a strategic partnership, and to me, that's where the real value lies when you approach it that way, where it's a win-win. It benefits both, and you've got to identify who those partners are, and that's really where you squeeze the most benefit out of it.
And if anybody has any doubt that Kurt is a Texan, just checks his LinkedIn profile. I think you're making a big statement in your head with that picture. Love it. I just checked it before this call. I was like, yep, no doubt, you're a Texan. That's awesome. So as we wrapping up this conversation, super interesting conversation. Um, Look, you guys have been, as I mentioned, you pioneered this technology across different functions. You pioneered it in logistics operation. Um, you've got folks now who are really embracing decision intelligence for, performance optimizations across their value chain. What piece of advice can you offer based on your experience at Alcon?
Yeah, fortunately, I get to take credit for all of the work the team is doing. I'd say the one piece of advice, and you know our story, and we've had some great, I'd say, partners that have helped us onboard this technology.
Yeah.
The one thing and I hate to brag on myself, the one thing I've done better or done really well that my peers need to consider is, I've hired people that are smarter than me. I've hired really, really, really good talent that takes this technology to the next level. We've got the suppliers, I'd say the middleware that have helped us bring this on. we've actually developed the technology and or the talent internally
Yeah.
um, to build this, right? The last 4 or 5 skills that we've built ourselves.
Yep.
And so we've built that team that has the curiosity. They're not transportation experts. I purposely hired people that knew nothing about transportation. They came in, were very, very curious. They were fresh data scientists that were just very curious. And I've partnered them with people that know the business extremely well. They know it from all aspects of the supply chain. And so they've been able to merge those two together, and it's been awesome. I'll be honest. I remember 3 years ago we sat at the table in Gartner and we talked about where we wanted to go, and I think in 2 years we've made a lot of progress, and it is um you know biggest thing is make the right decisions on who to partner with, and the other thing is who to hire. And I've
But
been very fortunate. We've hired some really great talent
it
that has taken this to the next level.
it's the perfect playbook, what you just talked about. You started with a brilliant partner to help you get going. You brought people in that actually are not necessarily subject matter expert in domain, but understand the technology. You train them, and then you partner them with very strong domain experts, and you deliver your skills on your own. So you're in full autonomy, meaning that as your needs evolve, you can have your own team, drive the changes that you need, the improvements that you need. It's the most efficient way of managing that process. So thank you for sharing that. This is really, really critical. Kurt, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And of course, thank you so much for the fantastic partnership with Alcon. And we're really delighted with the work that we're doing together. So again, Happy New Year and thanks a lot. It was really an awesome session today.
No, I appreciate it, Fred, and really appreciate it. At the end of the day, thanks for making my life a lot easier. At the end of the day, you guys this really helped me, make me look a lot smarter than I really am. So, no, I really appreciate the partnership. So,
I don't think it takes a lot. You guys are amazing. You've done incredible work, and you're driving us, right? So, I mean, we don't have to push you. You're pushing us, and that's the way we we
yep.
we all improve, and we improve the technology and the way we service you. So, thank you for those kind words. And again, Happy New Year, Kurt. Happy New Year, everyone. This concludes our Decision Intelligence podcast today. Alcon transforming logistics operations with decision intelligence, and you can view today's podcast on our website at www.eratechnology.com. Thank you very much.